Welcome, everybody. I'm Topher. I work in community outreach here and kind of interviewing some of the providers to kind of get some insight on good fits for people in the community, and so they can kind of meet some of the faces that are here in Riverside. I'm here with Faith Brown. How are you doing today, Faith? Is this weird?
It's weird, but I'm here for it.
All right, let's start with your story. What led you to become a therapist? I mean, how did it go down for you?
This question always stumps me because I feel like so many, especially when I was in school to become a therapist, I think this question got thrown around a lot, and so many of everyone's answers were, people just naturally came to me throughout my whole life. And you find that strangers will just approach you and kind of, confide in you. And I found this to be the case. And I feel like a lot of my friends also feel this way. So I don't know if I can completely take that answer, but I feel like the obvious is that, I've also gone through some big changes and life transitions and loss and all the things that make us human. And so naturally, I've always wanted to work with people. I think my trajectory and my just job path was very not the typical path that you hear from a therapist. So I'll get right into, and I won't give you the whole story, but the quick snippet is that I essentially went to LA to follow my dance dream career, and I found myself really wanting to work as an agent. And I didn't know why, but I was like, at least I could get super close to the dancers. And so I was like, you know what, I will become an agent, I will represent them. And just through that crazy process of being, I was an agent, I did go there and I was an assistant agent. And over the phone and just working with the dancers, I started to really find myself becoming their friend and guiding them and working through, accomplishments and difficult moments for them and advocating for them. And then I found myself, as a life coach, took that route and, followed that for a bit.
In LA? Was it still in LA?
Yeah. Very LA.
That's got to be interesting, right? I ran into a life coach out there one time, and he had seen a lot.
Yeah.
Was it fair to say you kind of saw a gamut of people?
Yes. We quickly ran into that same problem of like, they wanted more, and I couldn't reach that without being a therapist. So naturally I took I think during COVID, I was, what, let's just plug in. Let's do this. I've always had a calling for it. So let's just go.
That's cool. And I mean, so when did it start to be, more than a career choice and now maybe a calling or maybe something that you like find as part of your like personhood or whatever?
Yeah. I don't know when exactly the pivot was, but, I think I was just like, what do I want to do on a daily basis? And it was work with people, almost talk to them like a friend and have it be a career. I thought that was a perfect combination. And then what I'm passionate about is being outdoors. And so I was like, if I could just have a jump point from, let me just start as a therapist and we'll see where it takes me. And then eventually I'll have that dream down the road of getting outdoors with people.
That's really cool. Yeah. We'll get to that because I think that you're working on something really special for Riverside and just for the folks that you see, your clients. And I want to bring that up here in a minute. Just generally inside, when you do find yourself inside and not outside with folks, we've heard so far that, you bring calm and kind of clarity to the room is kind of some of the words that popped out to us. What do you think shapes your approach to people? I know it's kind of a loaded question, but it's like, how do you vibe with someone? I mean, how do you get working with someone? We hear the word calm and clarity, and that's a good way to be.
Mm-hmm. I love that those are the words that come to mind. I've had my own experience with therapy. And so I just try to kind of offer what I would want, which I don't know if that's the right approach or not, but just meeting someone as just not anything that they bring to the table, just more of that human element. And, a big approach that I like to lead with is just the things that you're good at and the things that you've found successful, the things that have gone your way. And we start there.
Yep.
And then that typically gets them excited and, passionate, and just hones in on that confidence of like, this is what I'm proud of. This is what I want to share with you. And that's how I really find out more about someone.
That's really cool. I wouldn't think about that. That's kind of like a grounding in like positivity. When people first come to therapy or even considering it, just generally, I'm watching the news, I'm, on social media, all the rest of it. I know we're all, seems like a lot of percentage of us are stressed out. And when it comes time to talk to someone, myself personally, it was tough. I felt like I was kind of like, am I to that point? Am I not giving up, but like, can I not do this on my own? Is it not something like, do you see that with people? Do you see like, why shouldn't that be the case? Because I'm on the other side with someone now myself, and it's not like that. It's like a partner sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's very common. And I've shared that same feeling of, let me wait till it gets that bad, and then let me go see someone. And then by that time, you don't even know where to begin in that first session. So obviously we welcome those individuals as well who are at that point, but it's such an important thing to just see it from a different lens of, I just want support outside of my typical circle. I want an unbiased opinion, which I think is what we all know about therapy. But just to have that very non-judgmental space, that space where you feel comfortable, really just that moment that you can kind of confide in someone and it feels like word vomit. And then you're like, okay, what'd you grasp from that? What do you know about me? Where can we go from here? But my biggest, the most fulfilling part for me is just that initial moment in therapy where they come in for that first session and you can tell they're nervous. They might even break and they're like, they apologize. And it's such a relief, for both of us of like, okay, we can be real now. We can, the facade's over and you can just fold.
That's super cool. I could almost feel it, yeah, there's a lot of guard up, and that's what I mean, with some maybe more than others. I think it's decreasing, but there's a stigma, or there used to be, or they can fight against it, but it's still kind of like that, do I need therapy? But when they come in, you get that trust and they start, being real with you. I'm sure that's fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So just on the basics, who do you typically see, just like demographics wise?
Yeah, so I'm still a resident. So I still want to like hone in on my craft. So I see as young as right now, it's 8 years old up into 65. So
okay.
a good wide range. I am starting to see more of the teens getting ready for college, a little post-college. I think that's my biggest audience right now.
That's cool. That makes sense. You've been in the trenches with like the career trajectories and,
all of it. Yeah. It's all questioning life, purpose, what do I do?
Yeah. That's cool. Well, that's good. Yeah. Well, you get a wide range for now anyhow. That's cool. And, I walk by your office, your door's closed. I see you seeing patients, but something that you've been talking about at Riverside and doing for yourself and your clients is walk and talk therapy and getting outside. I've seen it popping up in some, practices here and there. New York had a few, and I'm sure they're dotted all over now a little bit. But what it seems to hit a special resonance with you being outside. What does why you want to head that way with your clients?
Yeah. So I might have touched on this a little bit earlier, but just for again, me personally, and I come up with that approach because I'm hoping that there's some other people out there as well. Nature is just always something that has been there for me, and I know that it's pretty obvious. It's there for everyone, and it's always going to be there. And I think that's the cool part, is that it's reliable. It's this place where you can feel grounded and, again, not judged, and connect to something that's so much bigger than you. And for again, my personal experience, it's always made my problems feel so much smaller. And I need that sometimes. And I think other people need that sometimes. So I wanted to provide that as a space where it doesn't feel so clinical, and it can feel like you're just going on a walk with a friend, and you kind of get to unload and vent and move through something physically, nature, and be surrounded with all that mindfulness and stimulus, but physically and mentally, emotionally work through whatever stuck place you're going through.
That's really cool. Yeah, it'll be interesting, I guess, with weather and stuff like that. Maybe we'll get your umbrellas out.
Yeah, so that's actually, and I'm open to this idea, is that I believe that weather can be this other component of kind of that mirror to life of, it's inconvenient, we weren't expecting it, how are we going to respond to it? So I kind of like the element of some rain or some annoying sounds in the background, or wind, or and it's how we show up. So I'm game if they're game, but
that's cool
at their level.
That's awesome, Faith. So when you look ahead, what do you hope that you'll bring into the community here? One person at a time, but imagine there are starts to be tens and more people out there that are affected by this therapy. What do you hope starts to build in the community because of it?
Yeah, I think this community in particular, Loudoun County, is known for its high intensity, striving for gold, just always on. And I see, even in my youngest clients, I see that as a response, that they're stressed out and that they don't know how to keep up. And so being able to provide this as a pause, a place where we can just come down to the ground physically and literally, I'm hopeful that it does catch on, like you're saying, and that they start telling their friends, and it starts becoming more of a group thing. I think that's super impactful for the future of outdoor therapy, is to all collectively share this experience.
That's super cool. Yeah, I mean, we could use it around Loudoun County, for sure. Like it can be a stressed out county, and that's cool. Yeah, just the healing it could bring to people on their path, and then that affecting other people, kind of that positive domino effect, in their lives. So if someone's listening or watching and nervous to reach out for help, and just considering it right now, just as a general thing, not with you, without you, however they're thinking about getting into therapy, and they're kind of considering the pros and cons of talking to somebody, what would you want them to know?
Yeah, I think, talking to someone in general, someone you don't know, is pretty intimidating. So I'd say if you're open to it, kind of just dipping your toe with an alternative like this might be helpful, because it's something that you might do with a friend, you might do just by yourself. So if the indoor side of things, or making that appointment is super stressful, I think asking yourself, maybe I do need an alternative, maybe I do need a different approach, and this might be the answer. So I'd say give it a go, and we can always go back indoors if we need it.
Well, that's cool. Well, thanks for spending some time talking about yourself. I know that you and the other providers there spend a lot of time talking about other folks, and so I'm just trying to kind of shine a light on who you guys are, and it's a cool story. And I think Loudoun County is going to be better off. So that's it's really really cool. Well, to you, the few maybe who are watching the burgeoning podcast here at Riverside. Thanks for watching, and thanks for hanging out with me and Faith, and we'll see you soon.